Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our MC for this evening, Doug Loughborough.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Doug Loughborough, and I'm honored tonight to be your Master of Ceremony for our Myocarditis Foundation inaugural gala. On behalf of the foundation, we would like to thank you for being a part of this special night. The theme for this event is Knowledge Nurtures Hope. And by being here tonight, you bring hope into the lives of families impacted by this disease. This night would not be possible without the overwhelming support of our sponsors, the Myocarditis Foundation, and many family and friends present here tonight. In fact, we have guests with us tonight from coast to coast, as well as an international presence from London, Zurich, and Germany. Please give yourselves a big round of applause for all you did to make this night a reality. The Myocarditis Foundation was founded in 2005. For over 10 years, the foundation has been dedicated to providing information and support related to the causes, symptoms, and diagnosis and treatment of myocarditis and sudden death. I am here tonight supporting my best friend, who the majority of you in this room already know, Chris Corso, who I refer to as Corso. Corso and I met in the fall of 1988 as college freshmen at Northeastern University in Boston. On the outside, we were two worlds apart. You see, he likes AC/DC, and I like Run DMC. He went to private school, and I went to public school. He ran cross-country track, and I run only when I need to get myself out of trouble. However, on the inside, we both value the same beliefs of honor, respect, hard work, and family. As a committed husband and devoted father, Corso is a man of his word, and still, to this day, is one of the hardest working men I have ever met. I was honored to be his best man when he got married, and when I got married, he was my best man. Today, we live over 3,000 miles apart, but I know if I ever need anything, he would be there for me. And today, all the way from San Diego, I'm returning that favor and support of him, Matthew, and the entire Corso Benison families that are here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage my best man for over 28 years, Mr. Christopher Roy Corso.
Could definitely tell you a few college stories. So thank you for all being here tonight. I'd like to start with a quote from John F. Kennedy. We must find the time to stop and thank the people who make a difference in our lives. So thank you very much for coming tonight to support this important cause and to help the Myocarditis Foundation with their life-changing mission, which is to fund research, educate the medical and public communities with up-to-date information about the disease, and to provide emotional support for families affected by the disease. Before I continue with my remarks, I'd like to take a moment to thank the individuals who worked incredibly hard to put this gala together tonight. Please join me in a round of applause for the list of people that are up on the screen who all made this happen. During our time of need, the Corsos turned to the Myocarditis Foundation. Its network of people who spend their lives helping myocarditis families. They had our backs in our time of need. They made a difference in our lives, and all because a 12-year-old boy became incredibly ill. It makes me very proud of the people in this room that you have the Myocarditis Foundation's back and are willing to support their tremendous work that they do every day. So thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. You have our deepest gratitude. You are truly making a difference for us. So what does the Myocarditis Foundation mean to me personally? Knowledge, support, and hope. They provided the information. They were my lifeline. They held me up. I recall one day at Boston Children's Hospital going downstairs and typing in myocarditis. It was incredibly early, even earlier than I usually go to work, for those of you who know me. And I shot an email to them, and it got responded. And I had my work computer up in ICU, and I went down, and with the email was a cell phone number, and I called it. And I spoke with a woman, Candace Moose, who you'll meet momentarily. And we had an exchange down in that lobby when I was pacing back and forth. Couldn't tell you what I asked, but I asked a lot of questions. And I asked for some information, and I received it 2 days later. It was about the size of probably a reinsurance submission, but I got through it. I read it, and what came with it was something also special, which was a bracelet that I asked for that I saw on the website, and that bracelet was given to Matt when he was in ICU, and he still wears it today, since May 8th. This past September, 2 months after Matthew returned home, I learned about the Myocarditis Foundation's annual family meeting, which I attended. It was incredibly rewarding. I would argue it was therapeutic. And I learned that I wasn't alone, and I met a great group of people. And that was the reason I joined the board. Why, you might ask? Quite simple. Instead of feeling incredibly frustrated and going through this battle as an individual, I joined an amazing team. A team focused on research grants to find a cure to this awful disease. The board's 100% volunteer, 1 full-time employee, and for me, it's all about trying to help that next family. And there will be a next family. Allow me to share, just for a brief moment, a perspective of what Matthew experienced at Boston Children's Hospital ICU and recovery. Amazing hospital. 43 EKGs, 20 echocardiograms, 1 MRI, 1 cardiac CAT scan, 3 stress tests, 4 cardiac catheterizations with a 5th coming in August, and 1 ICD defibrillator that's in Matthew's chest. Matthew proudly went to the 7th grade class right before the school year ended and announced to everybody that he's now officially a cyborg. That's true. Now, most of you in this room know me, not the shy type, and guess what? The apple did not fall far from the tree. Matthew's now friends with most of the cardiologists in Boston Children's Hospital. When we go for our routine testing, Matt always says, "Hey, Dad, can we go up to the 8th floor south, 33 cardiac unit, and say hello to my friends?" These same friends are Matthew's full-time primary care physicians. Need an aspirin? Call Boston Children's Hospital. Need some cough medicine? Call Boston Children's Hospital. Forget one of your 7 medications taken 3 times a day? You got it. Call Boston Children's Hospital. An amazing group. I share with you these experiences. They've been positive, and they all started with Matthew's never give up attitude, which we believe has led us all here, and it's part of our journey and part of our bigger plan. That said, I stand here tonight as one of the more fortunate members of the foundation. Because of your support, the foundation can help treat and prevent other faces from being added to our list of families affected by this virus. Every bake sale, hockey, golf tournament, walkathon, gala gets us closer to finding that cure through research grants right down to the last penny. Tonight you'll hear from Dr. Leslie Cooper, Dr. Jack Price, as well as Candace Moose and Joe Ramore, both myocarditis survivors and heart transplant recipients. Could you please stand up and be recognized? Both Candace and Joe will close our evening with some comments. I close my remarks by thanking you all again and encourage all of you to continue to make a difference in someone's life, to give back in any way you can, to maximize your corporate matching, and to go home tonight and perhaps hug a loved one. But before I go, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, my hero, my son, Matthew Corso, who has a quick word for all of you. Thank you.
I personally want to say thank you to all of you for coming to this gala, and want to thank the board and my father and Boston Children's Hospital for everything that they have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, Corso, Joe, and Candace for all you do. Another champion, co-founder and board member that has been there from the beginning is Dr. Leslie T. Cooper, Jr. Dr. Cooper is a consultant and serves as chair of the Department of Cardiovascular Diseases at the Mayo Clinic in Florida. Academically, he earned his BA and MD degrees at the University of Pennsylvania, completed an internship and a residency at Stanford University, followed by a fellowship in the Division of Cardiology at the University of California, San Diego. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Cooper.
Well, Doug, thank you so much. And after Chris and Matthew, there's almost nothing that I can say. I was asked to share some statistics about myocarditis, but first I'd like to share how I am moved by this room. It's astonishing the outpouring of support that you have all shown for the Corso family. Thank you. It's really a life-moving and touching experience. And there are many touching experiences in the Myocarditis Foundation. We have life-threatening illnesses every week that we hear about, people we help. But this is truly remarkable. Thank you so much for all of you. I don't know really anything about reinsurance. But I imagined as I was, yeah, join the group. I imagined as I was trying to put these words together that the men and women in this room rely on predictability. The ability to predict loss is essential for your success in your everyday work. And tonight, we collectively have been confronted with an unpredictable event. The myocarditis, the illness that touched Matthew and his family, was not predicted. And it wasn't predicted in part because until after he became ill, there were no good statistics on the epidemiology of this disease. The prevalence, the incidence, the likelihood of dying from myocarditis had not been published, but now it has. Through the help of this foundation, other work supported by the Gates Foundation, I can share with you tonight that Matthew and your family, you are not alone. In 2013, nearly 1.5 million people were diagnosed worldwide with myocarditis. And that translates in the United States to 22 per every 100,000 individuals. To put that in perspective, in a city with a metropolitan population of 10 million, perhaps New York, that would be 2,200 people who would have the diagnosis. But that does not really reflect the most important statistic, which is that myocarditis remains, in this country and others, the third leading cause of sudden death in young athletes. The third leading cause of sudden death. 6 for every 100,000 deaths in men, and 5 for every 100,000 deaths in women in 2013. But as you have heard, the Myocarditis Foundation is dedicated to 3 things, and only 3: the support of families and patients who've been affected by this disease, education of the public and health professionals to better diagnose and identify the disease early, and finally, research to make an impact on the management, the diagnosis, and the outcome, and ultimately, our long-term aim is to minimize the impact of this disease in society. 30,000 people per month use our web-based services. Of those, every day, people send emails or call our office. Jack Price, who you'll hear from next, takes calls on pediatric myocarditis. I take those from doctors and patients who have adult myocarditis. Dr. Fairweather takes calls on research questions, and we spread the questions out. But every day, we help people in this country and others. With your help, we will continue this. We will expand the mission that we started 10 years ago. It's been a great honor to know Candace Moose and to serve on the board with her for this many years. And I can't hope that each of you tonight could meet her, if only for a minute, and experience a little bit what I've got to enjoy over the past decade. With that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jack Price. Dr. Jack Price serves on our board of directors. He's a professor at Baylor College of Medicine, and he serves as the associate director of the pediatric ICU at Texas Children's Hospital. He is an enthusiastic supporter of this organization, and with that, I give you Dr. Jack Price.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out tonight and supporting us and our patients who suffer from this disease. It is a privilege and an honor for me to be here representing not only the doctors and the nurses and the surgeons who take care of patients with myocarditis, but really also the patients, the children themselves, and their parents. Imagine what it's like to be a parent of a patient with myocarditis. Imagine what it's like to be the parent of that 3-year-old little girl, this is a true story, who collapsed while at daycare, previously healthy, rushed to the emergency room, en route was receiving CPR by the paramedics. She arrives, she's whisked off to the intensive care unit, and the doctors come into the room and say, listen, we think this is probably a viral process. We think it's affected her heart. We're not sure. There's really not a good way to diagnose it in a 3-year-old. And unfortunately, there's not a good cure or therapy for it either. In fact, we're not even sure if she's going to survive. And if she does, she'll probably need a permanent pacemaker. Or imagine being the parent of that 15-year-old healthy student who was a star athlete, a boy who developed a cough and wheezing, previously healthy, no history of underlying disease, who is unresponsive to repeated rounds of antibiotics. His physician is trying to do the right thing, obviously, but is not aware of the diagnosis. His parents see that he's continuing to get worse. His symptoms are progressing. They take him to the emergency room, and in the ER, he collapses with respiratory failure. He's admitted to the ICU, and again, the physicians come and they talk with the parents, and sort of the same story. We're not exactly sure what this is. This is probably a viral process, probably myocarditis. Unfortunately, there's not a good, specific cure for this disease, and we have to hope that his heart just gets better on its own. and his condition deteriorates, and his organs begin to die one by one, and he has to go on a heart-lung bypass machine just in order to maintain his circulation. These are the kind of problems that we're facing today in myocarditis in childhood. Very basic, fundamental problems. The ability to make the right diagnosis, the ability to make the diagnosis in a timely manner, and the ability to provide life-saving therapies and treatments. We recently did a study at my institution. We looked at 200 consecutive kids who were diagnosed with acute myocarditis and heart failure. And we found that about half those patients had been seen by their doctor or in an ER just shortly before the diagnosis, and they'd been mistakenly diagnosed with something else other than myocarditis or heart failure. This is a disease that mimics other common childhood illnesses: asthma, pneumonia, stomach flu, these sorts of things. So this is a big challenge for us. Recently, another study was just published. It was a survey of children's hospitals across the United States. In it, they found that about half of the hospitals are treating myocarditis with a therapy that's never been demonstrated to be effective in children. A third of the patients are treated with steroids, again, another therapy that we don't have good evidence for. And it's not that these doctors don't know what to do. I think they're honestly searching and reaching for right therapies and treatments. Unfortunately, we still don't know what that right treatment is, and maybe it's even yet to be developed. So these are our big dilemmas. Who gets this disease? Why are some children susceptible, others are not? How do we make a quick and effective diagnosis? What kind of therapies can we provide for our patients? What mechanisms of this disease can we isolate and attack for future therapies? I don't know if you've ever been to Texas. I hope you come and visit us, especially Austin. It's a great town. In Austin, the University of Texas is there with the LBJ Presidential Library. It's a fantastic library, one of the best presidential libraries I think that there is. I hope that you would go visit it. One of the great things about that library is that they have these audio recordings of LBJ. And he used to tell these great stories and have great speeches, and he would tell these yarns to reporters, and many of them were recorded. And he likes to tell this story about this little boy in West Texas. And this boy, one day he runs into the kitchen at home and he says, "Mama, Mama, there's a lion standing out on the porch." And Mom puts down her stuff. She goes out there. She looks out the screen door, and it's just their dog Rover standing there on this porch. And she turns to her son and she goes, "You know what do I tell you about telling stories? You're not supposed to be telling stories. Now I want you to go to your bedroom, and I want you to get down on your knees, and I want you to pray and ask God to forgive you for telling stories." So he goes to his room, and he's gone for a while. And he comes back into the kitchen, and his mom says, "Well, did you get down on your knees and ask God to forgive you?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Well, what did God say?" He said, "Mama, God said he thought I was a lion too." Well, I don't know if you see lions, but I see lions every day at work. And acute heart failure and myocarditis, they're ravaging the hearts and the bodies of children across this country. In fact, right now I have 3 kids back home who are struggling with this disease. I don't know if you see lions. I hope that you do, and I hope that God does too. God bless you all, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper and Dr. Price, for sharing this important information with us. And next, as we prepare for dinner, we've prepared a slideshow of Matthew Corso that shares Matt's courageous story with myocarditis. What a great tribute. One more big round of applause for Matt Corso. So we are going to transition to dinner, and I just wanted to remind all of you that our silent auction will remain open throughout dinner. Please enjoy your meal, and the bars are open. We'll see you in a little bit. Can I have your attention, please? If you'd please take your seats, we're going to be started with the last portion of our program. I'd like to thank you all once again for being here, and thank you for those that went to the silent auction. Maybe if we just give a big round of applause to everyone, they'll sit down. Let's give them a big round of applause. All right. Did you guys enjoy your meal? All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your meal. Our next guest that I'd like to bring to the stage has nearly 20 years of sports broadcasting and announcing experience here in the New York City area. For over 10 years, he was the voice of the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. He recently appeared with Kevin Costner in the blockbuster hit film Draft Day, and can currently be heard as the stadium voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. Please join me in welcoming our live auctioneer for this evening, John Heffernan.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Doug. Doug, you were supposed to leave out the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't want a 36-flight trip home the hard way tonight. That being said, folks, yes, my name is John Heffernan. I will be your live auctioneer. I am a New Yorker, and I am not shy. First of all, I want to tell everybody right now, despite life's trials and tribulations, how lucky are we to be here tonight? First day of summer, New York City. Central Park. Take a look at the views. Might sound a little cheesy, but this building behind me, which I know nothing about, but I thought I'd work it into my speech. All kidding aside, started from the bottom, and now we're here. Myocarditis 10 years ago. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. We want this building to be standing 100 years from now. We want this foundation to be standing 100 years from now. Thank you. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of man and woman power. And as my boy Jay-Z says, yeah, I'm not from Boston. We don't quote JFK. We quote Jay. New York. Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new. The lights will inspire you. Let's hear it. New York, New York, New York. Folks, if you haven't been inspired enough tonight, I want you to get inspired right now. We're about to start the live auction component of our evening. It's really important to open up your hearts, minds, wallets, etc. When Chris Corso called me, I jumped at the opportunity 9 years ago. My stepmother, Deborah Daw Heffernan, had a heart transplant conducted by her team at Mass General Hospital in Boston. Our lives were profoundly affected by that and continue to be so. So this is a very special initiative and fundraiser for myself included. That being said, I want to ask all of you, how are you feeling tonight? Are you having a good time so far? Okay. All right. I'm used to doing this in front of 60,000 on Sundays, 20,000 down the street at Madison Square Garden. I'm going to ask you one more time, how you feeling tonight? That's better. So if you don't recognize the face, and you've been to a Ranger game in the last 10 years, you might recognize this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight is a presentation of the National Hockey League as the visiting Philadelphia Flyers. Boo. Take on the New York Rangers. There we go. Time to switch over to the wireless because it's going to get real right now. All right, folks. Woo. Am I too loud? In my right hand, I've got 6 of the coolest live auction items you will ever see. Let's get this thing started off right. Don't be shy, because I'm not. I will come out there after you if this room gets the least bit unanimated or slow. Our first live auction, well, first of all, you ready for the live auction? Are you ready for the live auction? Nice. Folks, our next feature part of this evening's proceeds will be our live appeal. This is our live pledge drive. So can I have all of your attention for just a few minutes? I want you to turn your books to the last page, your program on your table. And it says here the potential grant funding. And I've circled the second item on here because I think it's a good indicator of what your donation right now can do for our live appeal. Whether it's $20, $50, $100, $1,000, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000. What we want to do is to at least get to $15,000. And if you could go ahead and put our signature thermometer up on the screen right now, it will show how our live appeal is going. They'll get to that in a minute, I'm sure. At least I hope. What we're going to ask you to do now is you're going to get a text on your cell phone, on your smartphone, and you're going to click on the link to make your donation for our live appeal right now. So please go ahead and check your smartphones if you'd like to go ahead and donate. I shouldn't say if, I should say when you go ahead and donate. Back to the program. $15,000 will enable gene array analysis, microarray, nanostring technology of patient samples to identify new candidate biomarkers to better diagnose and treat patients who develop chronic heart failure after myocarditis, resulting in the need for a transplant. This is just one example of what your money right now from this live appeal will go to. In addition to that, and please click on your link so you can see the amount that you can give. In addition to that, I'm going to go through a couple of quick things for you here. $100 will test for susceptibility genes in myocarditis. Each donation tests one susceptibility gene for 50 samples. That's $100. $250. Recombinant antibody for preclinical testing of candidate therapies to prevent progression from myocarditis to delayed cardiomyopathy and heart failure. Each donation funds one dose of the antibody. $500 is the ELISA kit. This is to measure biomarkers for heart failure to risk in the blood for myocarditis patients. Each donation allows testing of 80 clinical samples. That's what $500 will do. $1,000. Flight and registration for an MF grantee to go to the MF Family Support Meeting and HFSA Conference. There are 10 recent grantees. That's what $1,000 will do. Where are we right now? 6,100. Okay, pretty good. Let's keep it going, guys. $100, $500, $250, $1,000, whatever you can do. I just gave you some good examples of where this live appeal money is going directly and will be implemented immediately. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it going for our live appeal. And you have time now, and you can continue to make donations on your smartphone in the next 15 minutes, in addition to the silent auction, which closes in 20 minutes. Where are we? 13,151. Let's get it up to 15. Keep it going, everybody. 14,000. 14,200. I'm not getting off the stage until we get to that $15,000. 14,726. Getting close. 15,500. Keep it going, everybody. You guys, we want this building to stand for 100 years. I want to be back here for the next 100 too. John Heffernan, thanks again so much for having me, Chris. Love all of you guys. Thanks for participating. It's my pleasure to be here. Chris, come on up.
A huge Jay-Z. Ooh, is this on? Thank you. All right. Is this all right? We're good. So not a Jay-Z guy, but that's all right. I'll stick with JFK. So before we close, I would like to introduce Joe Ramore and Candace Moose, who will come up and do our closing remarks. But before I do that, I'd like to send out a couple thank yous that now that we're towards the end of the night, and obviously all the corporate sponsorships, we can't do it without you. Without your help, we'll go nowhere, and with your help, we'll go beyond belief. So thank you so much for your corporate dollars, your personal friendships, and coming here tonight. But before Candace and Joe take the stage, I would like to say a special thank you to my family who's here tonight, my parents, my lovely wife, my sister who was on the committee, and also we got a lot of friends here, but some friends that also came, the Pearlsteins that were there that day in the ER when I was at work, and my wife was home with her sister who just passed away. We had a lot going on, but that family rose to the occasion, and we really appreciate all their help. So if we could just give them a round of applause, I'd appreciate it. So Joe and Candace, if you could come up and close our evening, we'd appreciate it.
Wow, you're a pretty intimidating group out there. If Dr. Cooper doesn't know much about reinsurance, I know less. But I do know about the Myocarditis Foundation, and I know about the families we've served. And it has been my pleasure and my honor to serve with Dr. Cooper, the patients and the families who have been affected by this disease over the last 11 years. I wanted to go over just a couple of highlights. It took 11 years to establish the Myocarditis Foundation in the following ways. Number one, as a premier nonprofit with GuideStar, a governing agency that rates nonprofits, we have a 5-star rating. So if you're looking for confirmation, thank you, as to whether or not we are a nonprofit for you to fund, we are, as determined by this outside authority. It took us 11 years to become the authority in the medical field on the subject of myocarditis and to be respected in that role. Number three, it took us 11 years as the organization noted as a major source of funding for myocarditis research grants, which you can tell from that second to the last page. We've given 15 grants over the past 15 years to some of the leading medical institutions across the country, the US and Canada. And that is something for us to be proud of. We've moved the needle scientifically. We haven't yet gotten to a cure or a diagnostic, but we're working on it. And we, as a result of tonight, will have funding to move forward even more. So thank you. It took us 11 years to perfect a robust interactive website filled with information to reach those seeking information from all over the world. And that is one of our major accomplishments. We hear from people from all over the world, and that's pretty darn amazing. We are the only organization that is solely dedicated to doing something about myocarditis in the US and in the world. We are it. It took us 11 years to line up the right professionals, lawyers, accountants, insurance people, to give us the best advice to help us achieve and maintain the highest level of compliance and integrity in the industry. It took us 11 years to earn the respect and trust of grant sources. It took us 11 years to choose and continually develop an outstanding board of directors. And I would like everyone who's on the board of directors to stand at this time. These people are all volunteer, and we have sacrificed and worked hard for the common goal of trying to save more lives from this disease. Please stand. It took 11 years to establish the Myocarditis Foundation to seek and find marketing professionals and consultants to help us produce the highest quality marketing materials, which are now essentially all over the world. And going back to our website is available in every language. All you have to do is click on the home page to the language that you want the website to be in, and that language will be available to you. It took us 11 years to carry out our mission of educating doctors by speaking, researching, and clinically answering questions from physicians and researchers all over the world. And we're still doing that. That is one of our 3 missions. And finally, and probably most importantly, it's taken us 11 years to gain the trust and confidence of patients and families in the most vulnerable time of their lives. And we're proud of that. We're proud of that. The Myocarditis Foundation accomplished all of this in our first 11 years with no paid full-time staff until 1 year ago when we were blessed to employ Jen Ramori as our first full-time paid executive director, and she's a crackerjack. Jen, wherever you are, would you please stand up? Where are you? There you are. Only a nonprofit could function like this with one full-time paid employee after 11 years, but I dare say that only a few would. This means that the board of directors made the decision to advance our mission with the goal of saving more lives as quickly as possible, and we are committed, we continue to be committed to that goal. And this is probably the most important part of the message for you to hear tonight. During those first 10 formative years of the foundation, when I functioned as a volunteer staff person, I was myself recovering from giant cell myocarditis under the care of New York Presbyterian Hospital and my physician, Dr. Farhan Latif, who's right over there. I was successfully treated for giant cell. However, the cost of my medical care totaled upwards of millions of dollars financially and took an inestimable toll on my family. And it is that toll that I saw in the suffering of my family's faces that led me to Dr. Cooper to try to do something for all the other families out there who face this disease. The cost of care for survivors of myocarditis and their families continues unabated throughout their living years. While the cost of medical care at the time of acute or catastrophic illness is astronomical, the first year, the medical bills continued to accumulate. A transplant is not a cure, but rather a lifelong fight at a tremendous cost. And those of you, all of you out there are concerned about numbers, and this is where you come in. You've just learned that the costs associated with not addressing this disease are astronomical. This is now one more reason we must find a cure for this disease. The physical suffering of the patients, the emotional suffering of the families who love them, and now the ongoing astronomical, uncontained costs of a lifetime of this diagnosis are all reasons you would want to help us end this disease. A thank you is not enough to all of you who are here, because there are no words to convey how much I appreciate what Chris Corso has done and what all of you have done for us tonight. This is my favorite line, so listen carefully. I prayed for you to show up in our future so that the Myocarditis Foundation would have a future, but I did not know your names. I had never heard of XL Caitlin, Tiger Brisk, Aspen Ray, Axis. I never heard of any of you people, and I had no idea what you did. I barely understand it now. But I prayed that someone else out there in the universe would care about this disease as much as I did, and you all do. You have shown me by your presence here tonight that you do indeed care about the suffering, the cost, and the need for the Myocarditis Foundation to continue. Your funding will allow us to give more grants, reach more physicians, educate more of the public by increasing awareness, and help more families. When we fund research that will discover a rapid diagnostic that could diagnose myocarditis in a pediatrician's office or in an emergency room, we are sure that earlier recognition would lead to faster diagnosis, quicker initiation of treatment, better outcomes leading to more lives saved, and fewer medical care expenses over time. That is our goal, that is our dream, and you are making that possible. I thank you. The families of the future who will get to kiss their loved ones goodnight will not know your names, but we at the Myocarditis Foundation will, and we thank you. God bless you. And now I'd like to introduce to you Joe Ramore, also a myocarditis survivor and a heart transplant. Most important, he's been on the board for a number of years and holds an annual golf tournament for us. And when all of this, everything about tonight, which is, I don't even have words to describe what this is, we realized that 2016 was going to be a different kind of a year, and it was time for me to step back and to call on someone with greater skills than I had in this area. And so I asked Joe if he would step up and be president of the board, and I am delighted to introduce to you at this time our new president of the board of directors, Joe Ramore.
That's a fantastic introduction. Wow, I'm not sure I can live up to that. There are two people here tonight that neither Candace or I ever met. But we carry them with us every day, and we appreciate them. They gave us the gift of life. We're here, and we're hoping to give back the way they gave to us unconditionally. So I want to take a second to thank them. I have one slide. Okay, so I'm going to make this quickly. I'm not going to read the slide. I'll let everybody read the slide. Okay, these are worldwide figures. I know there's a couple of actuaries in the room, so we put up numbers just to make sure that you see the numbers. The message that I have for you right now and moving forward is these numbers do not include IBNR. For those of you that are not in the insurance industry, IBNR stands for incurred but not reported. And in our case, there's way too many cases that go unreported. We know these numbers are understated. So there are millions of people that need our help. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Check your phones, see if you did well, okay, and you were successful in the silent auction. Thank you for coming. Get home safely, and good night. Thank you.